Podcast 256. Where Were You? A deep dive into Job 38:4, copyright 2026, ISBN 978 976 9782617. Welcome to today's episode of Theology and Text, the podcast where we explore profound questions at the intersection of faith, philosophy, and literature. I am Dr. William Anderson Gittins, DD, from Barbados, and in today's episode, we're diving into one of the most thought-provoking questions in the Hebrew Bible. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Job 38:4, New International Version. This question, posed by God to Job, has captivated scholars, theologians, and readers for millennia. It is a question that reverberates far beyond the context of Job's individual suffering and touches on the nature of divine omnipotence, human suffering, and mysteries of the cosmos. In today's podcast, we'll be analyzing this question both theologically and philosophically to uncover its layers of meaning and how it speaks to humanity's place in the universe. Overview of Job 38:4 and Where Were You? Let me begin by setting the stage. In Job 38:4, God asks Job, I quote, "Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth?" End quote. This moment occurs at a turning point in the book of Job. After Job has endured immense suffering, Job, who was once prosperous and righteous, now finds himself in a state of despair. His friends have accused him of wrongdoing, and Job, having endured suffering beyond measure, demands answers from God. And then God responds, not with an explanation, but with a question. I quote, "Where were you?" End quote. This is a pivotal moment in the narrative, and it signals a shift in perspective. This question is often interpreted as rhetorical, meant not to elicit a literal answer from Job, but to challenge him and all of humanity about our understanding of creation, suffering, and the limits of our own knowledge. Now, I, as a theologian and cultural theorists, find this question endlessly fascinating. Theologically, it challenges the very heart of human arrogance and our understanding of the divine. Why, you might ask, is this question so significant? Well, it forces us to confront the vastness of the universe, the immensity of God's wisdom, and our own finite human capacity. And it begs the question, what do we truly understand about the creation of the world? Job's response and silence. As we delve deeper, let's talk about the silence that follows. Job doesn't respond to God's question, and there's a profound theological significance in his silence. His silence is not just the absence of words, it is a recognition of his limitation. Job's life has been marked by suffering, yet at this moment he's asked to recognize the cosmic scope of creation and the mystery of divine wisdom. It's a humbling moment. Philosophical reflection, the nature of knowledge and the divine. The question itself, I quote, "Where were you?" End quote, is a profound intellectual challenge. It implies that there are aspects of existence that are beyond human understanding. Job is asked to reflect not only on his own suffering, but on the origins of the universe itself. This strikes me as a reflection of humanity's relationship with the divine mystery. God's power to create and sustain the cosmos, to set the stars in place, and to establish the very foundation of the earth is something that far exceeds human comprehension. It's here that the intellectual curiosity in me is piqued, pun intended. The French word pique, meaning to prick or stick, captures my immediate reaction. It's an acute intellectual awakening, a moment of realization that there are mysteries in the world that we simply cannot grasp. It evokes the kind of reflection that expands our minds beyond the immediate and the personal. It raises questions about our purpose, our origins, and the cosmic order in which we find ourselves. The larger theological context, the problem of evil and human suffering. What is the problem of evil? Why do bad things happen to good people? These are the questions that Job's story grapples with throughout the text. And yet, when God asks, I quote, "Where were you?" end quote, he is reminding Job, and by extension all of us, that we are not in a position to understand the full scope of divine justice. Theologically speaking, the book of Job does not provide a simple answer to the problem of evil. Rather, it invites us to reflect on the limitations of human understanding in the face of divine wisdom. Job's journey through suffering, his questioning of God's justice, and his eventual restoration becomes a journey of faith where he learns that human suffering, while real and painful, is but a small part of a much larger divine plan. Cosmic dimensions of creation in Job 38, 4-7. As we move forward, let's examine the passage in more detail. Job 38, 4-7 presents a vivid imagery of creation. It speaks of the foundation of the earth, of the cornerstone, and the measuring line. These metaphors point to ancient Near Eastern cosmology, where creation was depicted as a process of establishing order and stability in the universe. We see references to the morning stars and angels who sang together and shouted for joy at the foundation of the earth. This imagery evokes the idea that creation was not merely an act of divine will, but a cosmic celebration where even the celestial beings rejoice at the creation of the world. Philosophical and theological reflection, omnipotence versus human limitations. Job 38, 4-7 thus introduces a profound theological tension, the contrast between divine omnipotence and human limitation. As Job is confronted with God's immense power and knowledge, he is reminded of how little he can understand about the mysteries of creation. And this, I think, speaks to a broader philosophical theme, the limitations of human reasoning in the face of divine mystery. This question, I quote, "Where were you?" end quote, goes beyond the historical context of Job's individual suffering. It is a universal question to all humanity, a question that asks us to reflect on our place in the cosmos. It forces us to confront our humility and our inability to understand the full scope of divine wisdom. In conclusion, the question, I quote, "Where were you?" end quote, is far more than a rhetorical challenge to Job's understanding. It's a philosophical invitation for all humanity to reflect on our understanding of the universe, the nature of divine justice, and the mysteries that lie beyond human comprehension. The book of Job teaches us that suffering, while deeply painful, is but one piece of a much larger cosmic tapestry, one that humans can never fully comprehend. As we close today's episode, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on this question in your own life. Where were you when the foundations of the earth were laid? What is your place in the vast mystery of existence? Thank you for tuning into Theology and Text. I am Dr. William Anderson Giddens, DD, and I look forward to exploring more of these profound questions with you next time. God bless.